AA Best Bail Bonds big game coverage live from Miami.
It is the Blitz here on 1250 ESPN San Antonio, 94.5 FM, ESPNSA.com, wherever you are. Aren't you glad you're listening now? Your AA Best Radio, or AA Best Bail Bonds radio live coming to you from Miami Beach. And we are joined by former NFL quarterback Bruce Gradkowski. Been around a long time. It's always a pleasure to talk to a great football mind. Bruce, thanks for coming by.
It's good to be here. You got the shirt from Miami. You look good. You're ready for the beach right now.
I'm trying to get to the beach one way or the other to tan this white belly of mine.
Leave that shirt on, man. He saw Andy Reid last night on opening night and says, dude, I got a shirt just like that. I'm going to wear it.
That guy looked fantastic. If I just had a shirt like that, maybe I get that kind of braid. But
you got look at this candy right here.
This is how we lure guys over.
You want some candy?
I was checking it out. I might have to get a little Butterfingers or Baby Ruth.
It's only food apparently here in the media center.
Hey, I love it. That's why we all gain weight this week, right? I mean, all you do is sit here, talk football, and eat.
That's pretty much my perfect life.
Throw in some beer, it'd be good.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing.
Well, as you hit Radio Row, certainly there is, we call it the car wash, obviously. You get to go up and down. What has been, in your mind, as you've been around the row, what's been the most consistent kind of question for you? Are we talking about games? Are you talking about
Rod Woodson?
Yeah, we've seen Rod walk
Everyone's
around a bit.
Here, yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about the game? You talking about game prep? What's the primary question that people are looking for?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I oversee all the grading for Pro Football Focus for the quarterback position. So, we're talking about guys that have graded well through the season. We're talking about, this matchup we have in the Super Bowl. So just talking ball, which is pretty cool because, I mean, we have a great matchup in the Super Bowl. You're looking at, a defense the Niners have that could get pressure on the quarterback by just their front four. And on the back end, they do a really good job reading concepts. I think Richard Sherman being that savvy vet. And then Jimmy G, Jimmy G sometimes has those turnover-worthy plays that I've graded throughout the season. And to me, he has to eliminate those. But I love Jimmy G. I think he has the it factor, that different ability to take a team to the next level, as we're seeing he's in the Super Bowl. And then he goes, going against Patrick Mahomes. So I look at the Niners defense against Mahomes is going to be a great matchup. So that's what I'm looking forward to watching.
All right, so you work at Pro Football Focus now. You grade the quarterbacks, right? My whole thing in all this, because I think San Francisco has better line, both offense and defense, games won in the trenches. But if it's a high-scoring game, I've got to go with the quarterback that I trust the most to make a big play late. That is Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. What does the Pro Football Focus grade tell you?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jimmy G actually, and I have the grade in my notes, but Jimmy G actually at the end of the game in these situations has graded actually better. And he hasn't been in these situations much. You figure the end of the game against New Orleans, how he stepped up his game and really made some impactful plays. And that's what I mean about the it factor. Jimmy G does have it. But you said it, man. I mean, we just witnessed Patrick Mahomes the last 2 weeks, being down 24-0, what was it, 17-7, and making comebacks. But the thing with Mahomes that was so special is he was making the comebacks with his legs. I mean, they were key runs that I remember significantly saying, you know what, that just energized his offense. That got the fans involved when he tucked and he had that 20-yard scamper. So Mahomes just kind of could do it all, and he's so fun to watch. So, man, it's just hard to bet against Mahomes.
When you talk about grading out quarterbacks, you got a quarterback that's made it to the Super Bowl. What, you throw 9 balls?
Yeah, right. Eight passes.
Eight passes to that extent. Yeah. As a quarterback, how do you grade someone who only threw the ball 8 times?
You just go off those passes. That's all your grades. So then, if he has 8 passes, and I think one might have been a turnover-worthy pass, so his grade's not going to be the greatest, because he only has 8 opportunities, and, a few of those were probably screen passes. So now you're really having like 2 or 3, passes that you're actually grading worth anything. If one's a negative, then the grade's not going to be the greatest. But, if I was in Jimmy G's shoes, if that's what we need to do to win to get to the Super Bowl, let's do it. And I think Jimmy G understands, though, this game's going to be different. You're in the biggest game of the year. You're going to have to make significant plays. A lot of times if you watch Jimmy G, his turnovers are coming across the middle. Sometimes these linebackers he's not seeing. And as shorter quarterbacks like I was, it's hard to see those linebackers. Sometimes you lose vision of them for a split second. You think that guy's wide open in the middle of the field, and that linebacker comes out of nowhere. It's the worst feeling possible. I remember Ryan Shazier did that to me in Pittsburgh, right? It's just OTAs or minicamp, and I drop back to pass, and I'm like, I see, it was probably Antonio Brown screaming wide open over the middle. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to look good. And I lofted it. And, it was a ball that you loft right over the linebackers. Shazier with his 40-some-inch vertical leaps up and just snatches it. And I was like, It just felt – I felt gross.
Send the resume off to Pro Football Focus. You realize that?
You bring up, as we speak with Bruce Gradkowski, he is with Pro Football Focus now. You played how many years in the league?
11.
11 years in the league. And the time that you played –
So I tricked him for 11 years.
Yeah. Well, no, I have a question regarding that time because you look at what quarterbacks are becoming. They're becoming what you were when you came out of the MAC years ago. Mobile, quick, able to get out of the pocket, make plays with your arm and your feet and all that. Isn't it a remarkable transition that we've seen just over a very short period of time? Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, that's what you're looking at. I don't think we're going to have many quarterbacks or your Phillip Rivers anymore that are just back there, a pure pocket passer. Now, when I say that, though, you do have to still be able to throw the football.
Right.
I mean, it's remarkable what Lamar Jackson has done this year. The thing that impressed me about him is his competitiveness. Honestly, watching his game, I remember grading his game. It was probably like 2 in the morning. They're playing Seattle when I was grading it. And, I'm not listening to the announcers. It's just the coach's copy of the game. And I remember feeling his energy and his competitive drive through the film. And I'm like, you know what, man, this guy, he's impressive because all he wants to do is win. And you could tell the rest of his teammates feed off of that. And that's what makes him so special.
Bruce, I want to ask you about a quarterback that we talk a lot about on our show in Cowboy Country, Dak Prescott. And, it's interesting as, there was during the Romo years, the Romo haters and the Romo believers, and then, of course, Romo retires, and it seems like now everybody was a Romo fan.
Right.
And now we get those that think that the Cowboys need to pay Dak and others that think that Jerry would be making a mistake to give that guy $35 million a year. What do you think as a grader for Pro Football Focus on quarterbacks?
Yeah, you got to pay the guy. I think I'm a fan of Dak. I think he started out really well this year. I think Kellen Moore did a fantastic job. It's a good move by McCarthy keeping him. I was actually surprised that McCarthy kept Kellen Moore, but kept the terminology as well because that's different. It's like learning a new language. And McCarthy probably understood, look, I'd rather myself and like a few staff members learn your language than, 20-some, 30 guys on offense try to learn a whole new offense, a whole new language.
Have you ever heard of a coach doing that?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I think McCarthy, it just showed a lot of respect of what he thought of Kellen Moore and what they've done last year because the play-action pass, the way Kellen Moore had shifts and motions involved. And, look, Dak Prescott has the athleticism to make those plays with his legs, to scramble for a first down. I think this year he was solid to me. I think he played well. And then there was a few games and moments that it was – man, you can't throw that, or that was a tad late there,
So I want to ask you there, playing the quarterback position, and are you still doing radio for University of Toledo?
No, I wasn't this year. I was calling their games, but I'm doing more with NFL Radio, Sirius XM.
So we'll step up. But do you remember Logan Woodside?
Yeah.
All right, so Logan
he broke
Woodside.
all my records.
He broke all your records there at Toledo, was with Tennessee this year, but in the spring he was in San Antonio with the Alliance League, and Mike Riley was the head coach. And, there were questions on whether Logan was the guy. Fans were getting on him. And I remember Mike Riley saying, here, watch some film. They threw a pick six early on. And he said if the wide receiver would have lined up on this side of the numbers as opposed to that side of the numbers, that timing pattern would have been big. Instead, it was a pick six. As a quarterback, when you're looking at that, are you going off of what you see or what you know was supposed to be there? Like a lot of bad throws, are they really on the receiver or are they really on the quarterback?
So, and that's what's cool about our grading is, say for simple terms, if I throw it to a receiver boom, it hits off their hands, goes behind him and gets intercepted, that negative grade's going on the receiver. I mean, the quarterback's getting a 0 grade. He doesn't get any negative. So on some of those routes, like this year too, it happened to Baker Mayfield a lot. OBJ would put a little extra flavor on the top of his routes when Baker Mayfield was anticipating and timing and letting it go into the hole in the window, and OBJ's messing around top of it. Well, that's where it's a miscommunication. You know, you're not going to downgrade the quarterback for a receiver going a little too deep on his route and messing up the route. I remember there's a few, and I can't remember specifically, but a few on Dak this year that the receiver either slipped coming out of his break or what happened. So you're not going to downgrade Dak for maybe, you know, the ball that the D-back should have intercepted or he did intercept. So we take that into consideration.
And the Cowboys led the league in drops, right, with almost 30 this year, which is insane.
And that's why when you talk about, you know, the receiver lining up, right, if I would see that or he went, you know, a few steps too deep and it got intercepted, I would say that. I said, no, the receiver's timing route was off. He went the wrong footwork. But it works in the reverse way, too. If the receiver ran the right route and the quarterback's supposed to catch from the shotgun, take a 1-2-3 plant and ball, but the quarterback catches, goes 1-2-3, hitch, and then ball, I'm saying the quarterback was late right there.
Yeah.
That was on the quarterback. So, you know, just from being around different offenses, I understand the timing of it.
That is the part of football that you cannot understand unless somebody like you explains it to us. Because when you just watch the game, you're never going to hear that.
Quarterback sucks.
Just all you know is it was a throw
really
that
might not
errant.
be. Yeah.
And sometimes, too, as I'm watching the games on Sunday, just as a fan, you'll see that. You know, like Kyler Murray one time this year, he threw a ball in a 2-minute drill to Larry Fitzgerald, and it was right over the shoulder, perfect. It looked like a perfect corner route pass. And I'm like, oh, man, that's a big-time throw by Kyler Murray. So then later on that night, I'm watching the coach's film, and I'm grading it, and I realize Larry Fitzgerald was actually running a seam route. Kyler Murray overthrew it. Larry Fitzgerald stuck his foot in the ground, reverse field, and caught it, you know. So then it's just very impressive on Larry Fitzgerald, his ball skills and the way he tracked that down to make it look on TV that it was a perfectly thrown ball. So that's why it's important to be able to see the whole picture when you're grading these guys.
Bruce Gradkowski right here on ESPN San Antonio. His work on Pro Football Focus, also doing some radio work with NFL on Sirius XM. Yeah. Hey, man, it's a pleasure meeting you, man. I got to call your game. What was that, 06, I guess? 05, 06? Yeah. He came and played in the Shrine Bowl.
Right?
Yeah,
Houston Nutt was the head coach.
The Shrine Bowl. It was a good time then, and good to catch up with you again, man. You look great.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's good to be on with you guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Bruce Gradkowski right here on ESPN San Antonio. We'll be back. We are live on Radio Row. Your AA Best Bail Bonds Radio Row coverage continues after this.